Hey, welcome. So today is our Relax into Health, Wealth, and Happiness meeting. So I hope you're ready for some serious relaxation. So what does that mean? It's a genuine invitation, and it's an invitation that's always available. It's independent of circumstance, independent of condition, independent of anything you could think of. So it doesn't matter if you are having nice thoughts, positive thoughts, happy thoughts, negative thoughts, dreary thoughts, gloomy thoughts. It doesn't matter whether you behaved in what you consider to be some sort of appropriate and spiritual or good way a moment ago, or whether you were behaving in what you consider to be an evil way. It's available right now. So let's see, what are the excuses that you have for, why do you excuse rejecting it? Well, I just covered some of them, so those are invalid. If you think, well, I can't accept that supreme reality now because I'm wicked. I think terrible things, and I do terrible things, and sorry, invalid. This is not valid. You think, oh, well, I can't because I just am having too many negative thoughts. Nope. It's independent of any condition, independent of any circumstance, independent of any thought, independent of any feeling, independent of any of that, anything. So let's see, what are the other excuses? Well, I know you don't believe me about those ones that I've already covered, so we'll have to come back around and look at them, I guess. You can make it easy on yourself and just accept it, but I guess maybe easier on me too. But I guess we got to work with what we got to work with. So what are some of the other excuses? You say, well, oh, I know, here's one. I don't understand. Why do you need to see? Look, you don't need to understand anything in order to choose peace. Nothing is required. Why? Who said? At what point did somebody say you must understand? If they said that, either you're taking it out of context, or they were just wrong. See, it's like, I want you to imagine a newborn baby. A newborn baby is held to the mother's breast, and the baby says, no, hold on. I need to understand. Understand? Understand what? I need to understand. It's like there's a classic Buddhist story, which is, like most stories that I tell, I'll butcher it. So here we go. There's a man who is shot. It's a long time ago, so he's shot by an arrow. And I told you I'd butcher it right off the bat. I can't remember. I think it's poisoned. It's good. We'll say it's poisoned. Why not? Now the doctor comes and says, fortunately, the doctor comes along the same path and finds this guy, and he says, you look like you're in trouble. I can help you here. Oh, and he's going to remove the first step. He's going to remove the arrow. Then he's going to proceed to treat the wound and whatever else he's going to do. And the guy says, oh, no. before before you can do anything, I need to know a few things. I need to know, who was it that shot me? I need to know, from what family did he come? I need to know what color clothing was he wearing? I need to know, what did he have for breakfast this morning? I need to know, what level of education does he have? Is he in a trade? What trade? Do you see what you're doing to yourself? You say, I need to understand. Why do you need to understand? The understanding that you think you need is totally false. It's a distraction. You have been shot by a poisoned arrow, and that poisoned arrow is what we call identification. We call it by many names, but let's call it identification. And this what we call a waking state, there's no waking happening. It's a sleep. And so you're asleep, you're dreaming, and you're identified with pain. You're identified with suffering. You're identified with all of these notions. And here, blessedly, along this path where you are, mixing metaphors here, but here you are sleeping, dreaming, and shot with a poison arrow. And blessedly, fortuitously, along comes the physician, says, here, I can help you out. And you say, no, I need to understand. You don't need to understand, you just need to stop. You need to allow for the remedy to take effect. But if you reject it, it can't take effect. So when you make excuses, you're rejecting the remedy. So the remedy, we could call by many names. We could call it wakefulness. We could call it awareness. We could call it relaxation. We could call it stopping. We could call it rest. We could call it other names that seem to contradict the other names. We could call, that's the thing, is it can be described in any language, but it's not, the understanding that you have of the language ends up being a distraction. So just forget it, and instead just observe how much effort you make rejecting the remedy. The remedy is at hand. The remedy is here. It's not at a distance. It's not something that needs to be earned. You don't need to do something for it. It's here. And like I said, it does not depend upon anything. It doesn't depend on how so-called spiritual you are. It doesn't depend upon how so-called advanced you are. It doesn't depend upon how educated you are. It doesn't depend upon how good you are. It doesn't depend upon how virtuous you are. It doesn't depend upon any of these things. We're within the dream, we do so many things, mistakenly thinking that those are going to earn us the remedy. Actually, all the things that we're doing are rejecting the remedy. Think about this. You go to sleep at night, you get in your bed, you close your eyes, fall asleep, and you begin to dream. Now, within the dream, you might dream, oh, I'm I was born into very unfortunate circumstances, very difficult, evil circumstances. Live in a culture of evil. My parents are evil. Everyone is violent and beats one another and is impatient and cruel and on and on and on. And you say, but look at me. I'm so virtuous. I work so hard and I'm earning my way to heaven. That's interesting, isn't it? But here's the thing. It's a dream. Now, when you awake from that dream, does it depend? Does it matter at all whether how virtuous you were in the dream? Of course not, because you're not that character. Now, who can grant you? You see, the other thing we do is in the dream, we say, okay, there's some higher power. Oh, well, don't get me wrong. There's definitely a higher power than your mind. That for sure. There's a higher power than your body. There's a higher power than your personality. There's a higher power than all of that. But again, you see, it's a mistaken identification. But look, we think, okay, there's a higher power, and so this creation or investment in the belief in a higher power, which understand at other times I will, and I have, and I will tell you that can be valuable. But right now, I want to get more direct, because in the truest sense, in the most direct sense, it's an obstacle. So I want to point it out that you say there's a higher power. When you say there's a higher power, well, right straight away, there's also a lower power. You can't have a higher power without a lower power. That's how it works. Now, are you the higher power or are you the lower power? Well, it kind of doesn't matter, because either way, you've created a division, but you put yourself in the lower power position. Unless you're, well, not you. Nobody who would show up here or who would ever bother to watch any of these videos is in that position. There are some people who put themselves in the position of believing they are God, but you put yourself in the position of being in the lower position. So there's a higher power, and you're in the lower position. So now your salvation depends upon you getting right with God. And don't pretend like you don't fall victim to that, because of course you do. You fear this higher power. You hope that the higher power will forgive your evil, but you hope that the higher power will reward you for your virtue, even though probably your virtue is outnumbered by your evil by 100 to 1, if you're really good. So this thing about why do that? I mean, I'll tell you. I'll answer the question. I'll answer the question why you do that. The reason to do that is to make another excuse. Well, I can't be at peace now. I can't know true health, wealth, and happiness now. I haven't earned it yet, or God hasn't granted it to me yet. And if you don't like the word God, whatever, you fill in the higher power, higher self, true self, spirit, whatever, I don't care. Fill in the blank, but same principle. You split yourself. So now you say, well, my salvation depends upon this higher power, this greater thing, this greater mind, greater entity, greater spirit than me. So the best I can do is just hope and pray and do my best to be good and try to hide my bad. You're asleep. So I want you to now think about this. You're in your bed, close your eyes, you go to sleep, you have a dream. And in the dream, you are a person. And this person that you dream that you are is in relationship to all of these other entities, including higher powers. Could be, let's say there's a hierarchy: angels, archangels, God Almighty. And if you don't like, whatever, you fill in the blank. But this is a dream, so it can be whatever. It doesn't matter. So it's just a dream. So this is the dream that you're having, you're imagining, or if you want to substitute something else that will help you feel better about it, it's fine. But it's something along this nature. Now, in this dream, this dream character is hoping and praying and endeavoring to be virtuous and to earn the grace of God or the higher power, spirit, whatever. And time goes on, keeps on trying. Of course, sometimes gets good points, sometimes gets bad points. It's like has a good streak, good run. It's like, oh, I'm really virtuous. I'm getting better. Look at how kind I am. Look how generous I am. Look how patient I am. And then, a couple slip ups. All right. But overall, over the course of this lifetime, this character gets more good points than bad. So then what happens? Well, let's say then this character dies, and there's some sort of afterlife, whatever you want, it doesn't matter. But in this afterlife, the judgment comes down. You were good. You overall, you earn more good points than bad, so you get to go to heaven. So you go to heaven. And there you are in heaven, and well, not you, but the character's in heaven, and the character's enjoying all the things of heaven, whatever those might be. It's a dream, so you get to make it up. It doesn't matter. But whatever those good things are in heaven, there the character is enjoying them. And after some time, then that character's heaven life expires, because of course it does. Didn't you know that? So then that heavenly character dies, and then there's the afterlife, and there's a judgment. Well, you kind of, yeah, you not really, you didn't do that great. Not terrible, but you're not going to the bowels of hell, but not great. Mostly demerits, not that many merits. So now you're going to go, you're going to be reborn, and this time it's going to be you're going to be a walrus. On and on and on. Okay. Well, then you wake up. Wow, I was dreaming. What a crazy dream. And what did any of that matter? The merits and the demerits and the elevated birth and the whatever. What on earth did it matter? Nothing. It was a dream. Who was passing judgment? No one. It was just a dream. It was just an appearance in a dream. So when you look at the sky, I'm looking at the sky, and if there are clouds in the sky, you say, oh, look, that one looks like a pig. Oh, that one looks like a dragon. Is there a pig in the sky? Maybe. There's a great big pig in the sky. You think? No, there's no pig in the sky. It, and even to say there are clouds in the sky, that's also false. The appearance of a cloud is no different than the appearance of a pig. We say, because it's just the way our language works, and if I didn't say it this way, it wouldn't make any sense. So we say, oh, we see the clouds, and the clouds look like pigs, but that's layers of delusion on top of other delusion. There's no pig. Can we all agree on that? Yes. It's not a pig in the sky. It's a cloud, we say. So I think probably we can all agree on that, unless there's always going to be somebody who's going to have a hard time with it. It's always shocking to me when I think, like, I say it's the most obvious statement. It's a cloud, it's not a pig, and then somebody's going to say, I don't understand. But I think we can all agree it's not a pig, it's a cloud. But then, so we're good on that probably. But then when I say, but there's no cloud, then you all say, wait a second. What are you talking about? That's crazy. There's no cloud. What kind of nonsense is that? Who, at what, look, so there was a point at which you knew nothing about clouds. And I know you can't remember that because that was before you, the you that you think you are existed, you see, but the real you obviously existed prior. Isn't that funny? You know that. Like the one who knows all these things, the one who knows this, oh, those are clouds, not pigs, and all that kind of stuff. That one came about at some point, didn't it? It came like, but you know that you existed prior to that. Don't you know that you existed prior to the knowledge of clouds? Prior to the knowledge of anything, you existed. And you know that. It's just known directly. There, you can't actually doubt that. Well, okay, you could doubt that, but it's a baseless doubt. So the real you, exists prior to the knowledge of cloud. So the knowledge of cloud had a beginning. And what is the basis of that knowledge of cloud? How did that come about? And this might seem silly or trivial, but actually this is, when you understand, isn't that funny? When you understand this, it's going to open the door to so much. You might not want to understand it because then it will open the door to so much. So you've been warned, it's going to open the door to so much. But if you dare, then let's open that door. So we can agree, there's no pig in the sky, it's a cloud. And the mind just said, it's a pig. And we say, but I knew all along it was a pig. Come on, that's silly. I knew it was just a cloud. Well, but haven't you noticed sometimes you can get a little bit carried away? And you're like, there's a pig in the sky. I know you don't really think it's a pig, but you see a pig, don't you? I mean, fill in, substitute, whatever. I'm saying pig. It could be a sailing ship or a castle or a woman or whatever. It doesn't matter. But you think you see something in the sky. Okay. And I'm saying in exactly the same way, you see a cloud, but there is no cloud. There's no cloud in exactly the same way that there's no pig or castle or whatever. So you're looking at the sky and you say, but I'm sure there is a cloud there. How can you tell me there's no cloud? I see the cloud. It's just obvious. I'm looking at the sky. I see clouds. Could be a clear sky, in which case you don't see any clouds, but just imagine that you're looking at the sky and you see clouds. So you say, what's wrong with this guy claiming there's no clouds? This guy is insane. This is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And I'm telling you, this opens the door to so much, and it will help you to see the absolute insanity of making the excuses, because you'll see the complete emptiness of all the excuses. So you say there's a cloud and I'm sure that I see it. Okay, but what is that cloud? What is this thing that you're saying is the cloud? What exactly is it? Now, let's say, immature mind will say, it will just throw a tantrum. It will say, this is stupid. You're a moron. They just see a cloud. It's obvious. Like, what kind of nonsense are you trying to do here, saying what exactly is a cloud? A cloud is a cloud. I know what a cloud is. Everybody knows what a cloud is. But you have to play along, because otherwise you stay stuck. So what exactly is this cloud? What are you talking about when you say cloud? You think you know what a cloud is, but you see, this is the same as everything. You think you know what everything is, and you say it's just obvious. But there was a time before which you did not know of these things, and yet you existed. You see, so existence is prior to all of the things. And we think all of the things are real and substantial. We think there's a real material world out there, and that it has an independent reality, and that we are some separate thing that's interacting with it. So I am here seeing the clouds over there. And this, when you look right now, notice that prior to the knowledge of anything, but here we're talking about clouds, but anything, you are. So existence is prior to the knowledge of all things. And you say, okay, but that's fine and all, but this is still making no sense, because I'm sure there are clouds. I can see them. It's clouds. But what is the cloud that we're talking about? What makes the cloud? How do you know that there is a cloud there? So you say, well, I can. Maybe it's got a shape. I'm not sure what that shape is. Sort of there's nothing really there. It's just an idea, isn't it? I mean, can you try to tell me, what is it? What is the shape of a cloud? Can you capture that? It doesn't really have a shape, does it? It's just an idea. Say, but I'm sure there's something there. Sure, there's color. Yeah. Seems to be color. But what really are we talking about? Are you seeing this? Maybe you can't see a cloud outside, but in your own imagination, are you seeing the cloud, and are you examining? So what I'm hoping you're doing, you're actually looking for yourself. You have to be examining. You can do it with anything. It doesn't have to be a cloud. You can do it with, if you happen to have a jar of water, for example, or your hand. Hand is handy. How about that? But anything, you say, okay, I'm sure that it's there. I'm sure that this is a real thing. But you have to look carefully. And you'll discover, as you just simply observe, that all that's there is an idea. All that's there is the notion. Maybe you say a lot of notions, but they all just kind of come down to we'll just say notion, idea. So like you say, well, but I'm sure I have a hand. I mean, come on, what you mean I don't have a hand? I can see my hand, I can move my hand, I can slap whoa, I can slap myself with my hand. But when you observe it, when you really observe the direct experience, you'll discover what I'm pointing to. There's just an idea. In exactly the same way that when you see the pig in the sky, there's no pig there. And that's easier. You kind of can make that leap. That just because I see a pig doesn't mean it's a pig. I hear a kitten. I'm just going to go check on the kitten. I'll be back momentarily. Okay, there we go. Seems like probably the kitten's okay. I don't know. It's a veritable zoo here. So what does this have to do with your life, though? What does it have to do with relaxing into health, wealth, and happiness? So let's make that connection. So you're have all these excuses. You have to see you've got all the excuses. We say, well, I can't. You say it's easy for you to say relax into health, wealth, and happiness, but I don't know how. That's a good one. I just don't know how. Or we covered some of the other ones. I'm not good enough. I'm not intelligent enough. I don't know enough. I don't understand. Whatever. But you want to see whatever the excuses are. They're all the same as the pig in the sky. It's just an idea. And this is easier than seeing that you don't have a hand. Seeing that you don't have a hand is like an interesting party trick, maybe, but easier than that is to see that all of the excuses are empty. And they're all predicated on the idea that you already know that you've defined what the goal is, and you think you already that's known, and then you determined, well, and I clearly haven't arrived at the goal, and so then you come up with all the excuses for why that is. But I want you to see that it's circular. Don't you ever feel like you're just going round and round and round and round and round? Don't you ever feel that way? Like you just, I'm trying so hard, and nothing seems to be working. You just keep on trying. You're going round and round in loops and circles. And you have to look to see that it's all predicated upon some idea or ideas that are false or empty. So you've set up a goal, you've defined what the goal is. So something about the notion of relaxing into health, wealth, and happiness is attractive to you. And that's because something about what you already think that relaxing into health, wealth, and happiness means is aligned with your goal. but then you don't hear or receive what is really being pointed to because you're just trying to stuff this in to your pre-existing idea. And that idea, what I'm pointing out is that that idea is empty. It's false. As I said from the very beginning, the invitation is to that which is unconditional. So does not depend on anything, does not depend upon what other people think of you, doesn't depend upon even what you think of yourself, doesn't depend on any thought. You could just dispense with thought. You just, in fact, for now, how about for the rest of the meeting, just why entertain another thought? See, you're entertaining thoughts all the time. You're the host. You're throwing the party or the banquet or whatever. All of these terrible guests are coming, and you keep entertaining them because why? You have a policy that anyone who shows up is to be admitted and entertained. So how about just don't entertain them? And you know how they are. They'll they're so like a low form of life. So they'll congregate outside and they'll, you know, smash bottles and shout and make a ruckus and a mess and try to scare you. But you know, there's nothing there. They're empty. It's all in your imagination. So don't be intimidated by your own imagination. I guess is one of the benefits of really going to the extremes of, of insanity is that upon waking up to that, there's such a great contrast that things become clear. So, for example, as I've pointed out, I've mentioned this before, you know, there was a time when I was so terrified of the mere thought of sugar. This is one example. I mean, there were many. I had many prohibited thoughts. And you might say, God, that's crazy. What's wrong with this guy? He's afraid of sugar. No, just afraid of the thought of sugar. This guy is unwell. And I'm saying that upon seeing the phenomenon that I'm talking about, seeing it in that extreme form revealed to me that that is what is going on. It's that there's nothing else. It's only that. People are spooked by their own ideas. And that's it. People are seduced by their own ideas, repulsed by their own ideas. It's only ideas. So this example, I was terrified of the thought of sugar. Isn't that crazy? Doesn't that seem really crazy? I hope it does. It should. I mean, not just like, I want you to understand, terrified, not just a like a mild unpleasantness, not just a dislike, but terrified. I was my life was organized around attempting to avoid my great enemy, the thought of sugar. So, which of course, if I say, don't think of a purple striped zebra, you can't help but think of a purple striped zebra. So if I try not to think of sugar, of course, I'm in trying to not think of sugar, I'm thinking of sugar. So it was happening all the time. And I'm in knots, trying to avoid what I'm the very thing that I'm generating in the attempt to avoid it. And it was very, very intense, super intense. The level of stress was extreme. So blessedly, I realized that was insane. And I started to look at it, and what I saw was, it's just a thought. It's really just a thought. There are many variations on this thought, but it's really just a thought, which is that I'm this person and there's something that's going to harm me. Now, is this really fundamentally any different? I'm asking it, as a question, but let me restate it. It's not fundamentally different than the child afraid of the boogeyman in the dark. The child's terror is legitimate, but the terror is the product. It's inseparably one from the investment in the belief that I am this thing and there's something out there that's going to get me, that's going to harm me. So I was doing, the same thing, same process as being afraid of the boogeyman in the dark, but I was afraid of sugar. And I saw this, oh, that's all that's going on. That's all it is. In fact, no matter how much there's a certain threshold. How do we describe this? It's like a mirage. The mirage always remains at a distance. You can't get to it. And the mirage works same principle, but it's kind of inverted in that the sugar or the boogeyman was a repulsion. I was terrified, whereas the mirage is attractive to the one who's thirsty because it appears as water. But it's the same principle applies, which is it only works at a distance. See, as long as I work to maintain the distance between me and sugar, then that terror can remain. As long as there's a distance between me and the mirage, then I can perceive that it's water. Well, the thing is, that distance, it remains forever. The reason that distance remains forever is because it's that distance is generated by this, in the same process that assumes that there's someone here and there's something there. The process generates the distance. This is I'm not the only one to have this insight. This is kind of a classic insight, which is that there's a threefold nature to this dream experience. In order for there to be a dream, then you have to see there's no way around it. In order for there to be a dream, there's a sense that there's we'll say a knower, what is known, and the act of knowing, the distance. Or the seer, the seeing, and the act of seeing, which is the distance. So as long as I assume that the basic components of this, which is I'm this person, and there's something out there that either I need or that I need to avoid, then it generates this distance immediately. It's just inherent in this. Well, then if I insist, well, now I've got to get to it. I'll never get to it within that framework because the distance is built in. Here's how it's described in one way in the Yoga Vasishta, that they're in one of the stories it said there's this character who had the desire to know everything, to know actually I think it was brothers, but it doesn't really matter. But he wants to know everything in the universe. So sets about attempting to know everything, and he's been doing this from the beginning of time, and will continue to do it until the end of time, because you'll never find peace so long as you insist you need to know everything, so long as you need to know anything, because the peace is found in the collapse of the false premise. So I was terrified of sugar, and I'm trying to, first I'm trying to keep the distance, but that's not working. And then I'm like, okay, I need to turn that around and close the gap. But the thing is, there's a point at which trying to close the gap becomes the same trap. Because either way, you're trying to deal with something that's generated by the false premise in the first place. So if you think, well, there's some excuse for why I can't know presently the truth that's pointed to by relax into health, wealth, and happiness, then it's because you're continuing to invest in this false idea. And what I'm saying is you can just drop it. The truth of what's being pointed to, which is not ordinary health, wealth, and happiness in the way that you understand it, but let's say infinite health, wealth, and happiness. Think about that, infinite. Now, how could it be infinite? You think infinite just means like spread out in time and space forever, but no, infinite means non-finite. It's transcendent to time and space, prior to time and space. Infinite health, wealth, and happiness, that's what's available. Now, what would you prefer? And you might think this is a silly question, but you got to really see what this is pointing to. Would you prefer your limited idea of health, wealth, and happiness? Or would you prefer infinite health, wealth, and happiness? Infinite health, wealth, and happiness is definitely a better deal. But you can't have it if you keep insisting that you need to have your idea of limited health, wealth, and happiness. Because your idea is you insisting, basically it comes down to you want to be right more than you want the true peace that is the deepest longing of your heart is for true peace. But you betray that over and over and over because you say, no, hold on, I want to be right. Because what does that mean to be right? It means that you just simply, there was an assumption in which you said, I know what I want. I know what the goal is. It's health, wealth, and happiness. And there's like a little ding, there's a little little sound there, and that becomes a seed for the nightmare that you live. And you say, but it's good, it's virtuous, it's health, wealth, and happiness, but it's false, it's off the mark, it's limited. So as long as you cling to that, then you keep insisting, but there is a pig in the sky, or there are clouds in the sky, or I do have a hand. But you could say, oh, this is insane, this guy's saying I don't have a hand. But look, would you rather be right that you have a hand, or would you rather be at peace? That's a better way of putting it, because we're so afraid of being like, what, going insane or losing control, or how you can't even put your finger on what it is exactly, but you're terrified of something. And this idea that, like, oh, that you might be wrong, or that you might be perceived as insane, or that you might lose control because you really can accept that maybe I don't have a hand, maybe there's no cloud in the sky. Think about that can trigger such a reaction. And it only points to that you would rather, up to now, you would rather cling to the false and say that you're right, rather than just giving up, surrendering, and accepting the truth of infinite health, wealth, and happiness now. So then let's look at then what the next objection is, because but it's not happening. I'm not feeling it. I'm not experiencing that infinite health, wealth, and happiness. What? See, that proves that I'm right, that I guess I need to do something, or I need to understand something, or I need to figure something out. Something needs to happen. But you just misunderstood. And it makes sense, because for a moment there can be wakefulness, but it's not like it didn't quite penetrate enough. Still an identification within the dream. There's still this idea that, but I have to have it for this character. It has to be something. And what does that something have to be? Well, it needs to be what I think it always comes back to my limited notion of what health, wealth, and happiness would be. So you just keep looking and see right now in this moment, if you just let go for a moment of all the notions, which includes, by the way, I'm pointing it out so it's really clear, that includes letting go of the idea of what should be, what the goal is, what's good, what's bad, what's right, what's wrong, what's up, what's down, all of those things that are that you've used to calibrate to gauge your sense of success or failure within the dream. Let go of all of those for a moment. Just like literally, you just don't do anything with them just for a moment. You don't need to get rid of them. You don't need to fight with them. Just let go. Just for one moment. It doesn't have to be sustained, but just for one moment. And then you just tell the truth. You just notice in this one moment, there's no problem. In this one moment here, there is actually the true revelation of infinite health, wealth, and happiness. Really. Now, of course, if you too quickly latch back onto the ideas, then you're going to start comparing. You're going to say, well, wait, I don't know. It doesn't really match up with my idea of health, wealth, and happiness. I don't know. Am I being hoodwinked? See, we're so afraid of being harmed by something externally We can't let our guard down for even an instant. Holy cow, can't you notice the intense stress of that? Terrified of being hoodwinked into perceiving that there's no problem, into perceiving that there's infinite health, wealth, and happiness. Oh no, I can't allow that. I can't allow that. And what you have to ask, why are you so on guard? So just for the one moment, let go. And then you see, I promise you, there's no way that there could be any problem in this one moment. The one moment in which you're not grasping any thought. And what is necessarily revealed is the truth of infinite health, wealth, and happiness. Non-finite. You can't capture it, can't grasp it, you can't understand it, you can't do anything with it. It's beyond that. Just for the one instant, because then the next instant the thoughts come in. And okay, the thoughts come in, but why are you going to believe those thoughts when they've never done you any good? They've only caused pain. Don't they torment you day in and day out, all those thoughts that tell you you haven't gotten there, you're not good enough, you got it all wrong, nothing's working, you'll never make it, you're a screw up, you're a loser, it's too late, and on and on and on. And you're a victim, it's everybody else's fault. No, it's really my fault, yada, 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 just on and on, torturous. And then you say, but they're my friends. They're not your friends. It's like with these, with friends like that, who needs enemies? So here, honest to goodness, please see what's being pointed to. Can you see in this one moment, for one instant, just right now, don't grasp anything, let it all go. And just for the one instant, isn't it a relief? Isn't it peace? Isn't this what you have been so longing for? Really, sincerely, truly? This is your real friend. This doesn't want anything from you, does it? It's like wide open. It does not want anything, not anything at all. So wonderful. And then the next moment, there's just suspicious thoughts come in. I don't know about this. It doesn't seem good enough. See, there's miserable, awful, terrible guests who you should stop entertaining. Every time they show up, you give them the seat of honor. Oh, come sit here at the head of the table. What kind of food would you like? We'll serve it to you immediately. And it's always not good enough. Has it ever been good enough for those terrible guests? It's never good enough. Always find something to complain about. Does not matter what it is. It's too hot. It's too cold. It's whatever it is. It's like if it's a sunny day, it's too sunny. If it's a cloudy day, where's the sun? It's like, oh my goodness, it's just no. If nobody's giving you positive attention, then you say, poor me. And if they give you positive attention, you say, oh, it's uncomfortable, and they're false, and I don't deserve it, and they don't know. Holy cow! Why do you keep feeding them? And you just need to see these are not your friends. They pretend to be your friends, but they just keep you asleep. Wake up. And how do you wake up? For one instant, right now? That's it. Just drop all of it for an instant. Nothing else is needed. You see, this is All the other stuff that you think you need to do, you need to have some particular experience, you need to earn it, it's going to take time, you got too many problems, it's been too long with too much baggage, you got to overcome all this stuff. And it's all built on the false notion that you have identified correctly what the goal is, and that you as a separate self need to get there, which requires time. You'll never get there. It's a mirage. It's always out of reach. And you can just drop it and see it's just a dream. It's just a dream. The same as you, again, but prior to the arising of all knowledge, you are. Just see that that's true. You can understand that in a couple of different ways, and you can see that it's just true presently. You can also see that it's true within the construct of your story of yourself in time. You can see that there was a time before which you had any concepts as this person, as this character. When the baby was first born, there were no concepts. You didn't know about anything. You didn't know mommy or daddy or up or down or good or bad or righteous or wicked or sky or day or night or food, or you didn't know anything. But you know for sure that you existed. And when you see this, you see, honestly, you just look and see that it's so clear when you open this door and you see, I exist prior to all of this. In this very same way that I exist independent of the dream. When I wake up from the dream at night, where I realize everything that was happening in the dream, it was not what I thought it was. All the characters, that whole world, it's not there. And in the same way, in this very moment, right now, you are constructing as a dream this entire thing, including all the excuses, including the past, including the conditioning, including all of the everything. All of that is simply manufactured. It exists only as dream stuff now. So you're not beholden to that. You're not bound by that. It exists dependently on you as consciousness, not the other way around. Your dream cannot bind you. Only it can spellbind you, I suppose, but it's meaningless because you can wake up and you have that ability. So you just wake up and wake up repeatedly as often as you need. If you find that you're dozing again, then wake up. And how do you wake up? So many different things. I mean, the most direct is you just let go, just stop, and just notice that truly right now, all is well, nothing is needed. There's nothing, there can never be any conditions whatsoever for the truth of who you are. And so that's always a good test, you see, that whatever you're afraid of, whatever you're anxious about, whatever you're worried about, whatever you're dreading, whatever you're anticipating, it's always at a distance. It's always about what will happen. So just let go of the idea. Don't falsely bind yourself by some notion. Just let go and notice in this instant right now, all is well. And whatever the experience appears to be, you can inquire as deeply as is needed in order to wake up. I mean, that's the thing is the other, and I know we're a little over time, so I'll wrap it up. But that's another one of the big mistakes is say, well, I can see that this kind of works sometimes, but only when, but not, not all the time, not when things are really difficult, not when I'm feeling really stressed, or not when the situations are, scary or whatever. Well, don't make that mistake. Just it's like you say, I can try to think of a parallel example. I mean, it would be like you say, well, okay, I'm able to walk as long under these certain circumstances, right? If it's a level surface and there's no obstacles of any kind, just totally flat, and I've got a support railing and whatever, then I can do it. But under any other conditions, I can't. And so it's just like I can't walk. It's just, that's not a possibility. But that would be foolish, right? You like, if you can do it, then you know that you can do it. You can do it under these circumstances. Okay, so then you just need to apply yourself so that you can learn how to walk under these other conditions. And then there are those who demonstrate that it's possible, right? There are those who say, look, not only can you walk, but it's possible to climb Mount Everest, because I've done it. Not me personally, but so somebody has demonstrated that. So that's helpful to have that. And there are people who are saying the same thing. I'm saying this. I'm saying, if you can recognize ever, under any circumstances, if you can recognize that right now, in this moment, in this moment is freedom, peace, when there's no grasping at thought, just for an instant, then it's always available. And if you say, yeah, but it's not available to me, then you're just making excuses. And instead of making excuses, I'm saying, examine the excuses and see their false nature. And then you gain the skill which is what you want, to fully recognize the truly independent, unconditional reality of true peace, true health, wealth, and happiness, infinite health, wealth, and happiness, so that you can know that. Just the same as like with sugar, it's like, okay, I'm terrified to think of sugar. Well, then let's see, if I think of sugar, can I know peace? And that was a little challenging, but yeah, okay, I can know peace, even thinking of sugar. Okay, but then it says, yeah, well, that's fine. It's easy to think of sugar, but what about looking at sugar? Okay, let's try that out. Okay, well, that's easy, but what about touching sugar? Oh, okay, do that. And they say, oh, that's easy, but what about putting sugar in your mouth? Okay, let's try that. See, and you just have to keep. I did this with so many things, and I'm telling you, it works. You just have to, once you've glimpsed it, once you've recognized that under any circumstance, then you have to know that is true, and you have to hold fast to that truth and not be persuaded otherwise by thoughts. So when the thoughts come that say, well, it doesn't work here, can't work here, you have to know the truth, and you have to know, the same as you say, look, I know that I'm having some difficulty walking here on this terrain, but I can do it. It's possible. Others do it. I can do it. So in the same way, you say, oh boy, peace seems difficult under these circumstances. But then you have to remember, well, wait a second, I've glimpsed it. I've glimpsed it even in circumstances where I thought I couldn't. I've seen, or at least I've had pointed out to me, some general principles, and I've had others who are, you know, providing testimonial that it works. So then what are you going to do? You're going to just say, no, I already know I'm right. It doesn't work. Don't do that. Instead, see the emptiness of your own constructs. See that clinging to that emptiness only generates unpleasantness, and see that you have everything that you need in order to apply this true knowledge so that you can actualize that and know the truly unconditional nature of infinite health, wealth, and happiness. And know that that's just like, don't get hung up on any of your thoughts, because the thoughts are this, just like pigs in the sky. Just like when the thoughts come, just no, it's just a pig in the sky. It's just like a, or see it also as like, that's just this thought that just complains or that argues or excuses why I can't. That's just what it does. It's like if you turn on the radio and you tune it to the top 40 station, what do you think you're going to hear? You're definitely going to hear top 40. And if you don't want to hear that, which who would, then stop doing that, you know? And it's just a habit. So right now, those unwelcome guests come and they start complaining and telling you everything is miserable and it's always going to suck and you can never get, and you're just in the habit of entertaining them. And instead, you need to just like, no, don't do that anymore. We don't entertain like that anymore. That's not that kind of thing anymore. So go elsewhere. And you'll see it works. Really, honestly. You can, I promise you, you can know the truth of infinite health, wealth, and happiness directly starting today. And you can know that with increasing confidence, day after day after day, as long as you just simply apply it. That's all. You just apply these simple things that I've pointed out in this meeting and in others, and you can, I promise you, you can know it and you can live it and it can grow. And all you have to do is just stop investing in the old way, because you know the old ways, you know the outcome of that. Just stop and see that all of the excuses are invalid. If you're sincere, I mean, of course they're perfectly valid if what you really want is just to be right and to say, see, I told you life sucks and it will never be any good and I knew it, I'm right. Then yeah, okay, you just keep doing the same old, but if you're ready and you're sincere and you say, I am ready for living infinite health, wealth, and happiness in truth, just know that means you just give up the false notions of what's right and accept and embrace the present reality. Really, honestly, just this as it is. Let go of all the thoughts that say otherwise, and you'll see it will blossom, it will grow. Okay, so thank you very much. See you next time. Blessings to you all. I hope you have a wonderful weekend. Bye for now.